Hey, what's good? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. No matter where you may find yourself as you listen to this and you're tuned in to the only sports podcast with brains and bars. It's a black and white thing featuring A1 and A Ward. I'm one half of the dynamic duo. I'm A1. You can call me Carlos. You can call me Dan. You can check out every episode of It's a Black and White Thing by going to the podcast app of your choice, wherever you get the good podcasts. Give us 5 stars, leave a comment, share the audio version of this platform or on whatever platform you choose to listen to. You can also find us on YouTube by searching Brains and Bars. Hit the notification bell, hit the like button, subscribe, share the broadcast, tell a friend to tell a friend. It's those boys again. And we got a full house in the building tonight, man. It's not just me and Ward, but we got also in the building. We got JC, we got Drew in the building. Sir, is it Sir Drewski? Am I make sure am I right in that? Is it Sir Drewski?
Sir Viper.
Sir Viper.
Sir,
Excuse me. So
sorry.
the field generals in the building with us tonight, man. We're gonna be talking about the Super Bowl. We're gonna be talking about. I want to talk the Ward from the Chiefs' perspective. If you want to go to our live videos, I also have a video from this Monday where I talked to two-time Super Bowl champion of the Philadelphia Eagles, Titus from Let's Talk Battle Rap, and not the experts. He was on the show to revel in the joy of his team winning a championship. So if you want to hear things from the Philadelphia side, from the Philly side, pull up on us there. You can also tonight it's going to be a little bit more Chiefs centric. Shout out to Mama Ward, the building.
Award, what up?
So we're gonna talk a little bit about the Chiefs. So if you see the title, is the Dynasty dead? And also, once we're done talking about the Super Bowl and about the Chiefs, we're going to get into a face-off between JC and Ward. They have a battle going down in a couple of weeks. And so, yeah, man, stay tuned. We're gonna have some fun tonight, man. So first, let me start with my co-host Ward. How you doing tonight, man?
Man, I'm doing pretty good, man. Not too bad. Productive day. Like you talk about, you had some snow. Oh, look at that comment. What's that comment say? A Ward is gonna kill Jay. Oh, that's what's up, man. Oh yeah, shout out to whoever's in the chat saying things like that. But yeah, no, we had got some snow this morning. Got a little bit of snow this morning. That was a little disheartening. That was a little disheartening. But for the most part, man, I've been doing good. Had a good time in Las Vegas this past weekend. For Chicago next weekend, and then after that starts a gauntlet of just back to back to backs. Yeah, just excited, man. Nothing to be excited for sports wise. Tennessee lost to rival Kentucky yesterday. Kansas City Chiefs lost Super Bowl. It's been a pretty trash week so far for me. The only exciting news, and I don't even know if it's exciting anymore, is Dalton Connect getting to go back to the Lakers because I don't know what that even means for him. But yeah, other than that, man, I'm good. Productive day at work, and that's those are few and far between. So,
I mean, I would say what that means for Dalton is he should rent and not buy in LA. I think that's what that means. Lease. Because I don't know if he's going to be there. Because I mean, obviously, I don't want to get derailed too far, but Luka is like this is his town. Like this is no longer LeBron's town; it's Luka's town. But we can talk about that another day, at another time. All right. So in the building, like I said, we got the field generals, man. We got JC, Sir Viper, Drew in the building. I'm gonna start. JC, how you doing, sir?
Man, I am doing great. Honestly, life is very good on all fronts. My job is going well, and I just wrapped up basketball season for Special Olympics. Got a 2-month break before softball, but swimming's pretty much year round. I got a little meet coming up for the big one. That ain't until next month, but I digress. And then, of course, I got a battle. My longest tenured friend. Gonna be a good one.
yeah, man, I was looking back at our text messages, and I think they might go back to like 2018 or 2000 and maybe late 18 or something like that.
Exactly 2018. Exactly 2018.
Yeah, so we've been chopping it up for a good 7 years, man, back and forth. So yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah.
And Drew, how you feeling, man? How you feeling?
I'm scared for Josh, man. I got to plan a funeral, bro. Hey, Ward Chief just lost the Super Bowl, and you want to battle this man right now? Yeah, man. Cue the violin, brother. It's over with. They were about to kill you. It's over.
I I texted him like, "Hey, if the Chiefs lose at any point, don't take it out on me." I did not.
Hey, the man who freestyled everything against Britain and 30'd him not writing a damn thing. You think he cares about not taking it out on you? Dog. Dog. I'm just saying. If it was me, you'd be getting all that. I'm just saying. But yeah, I'm good, man. Just everyday life, dad life, just working. Hey, my portion of today's episode is sponsored by Home Depot because I had to get ready for work. So yeah, Home Depot, get all your building materials and stay the fuck out of my store. That's all I
Man,
got.
so that's it's not. What is it doing? What is the slogan now? It's like getting the most done or doing the most.
Yeah, doing something. All they be doing is getting on.
My
Doers,
little brother's worked at Home Depot for 10 years, so yeah.
Yeah, the
our
slogan
doers
change
get more
every day.
done.
Doers get more done.
Our
And
doers get more done.
that's a lie. That is a lie and a half. That's a lie and a half. But I'm good, man. How y'all feeling? How y'all doing? Yeah. What's going on, y'all? What's
We
good?
good, man. We good. We good. Not excited about this snow. I think it is 36 days until the first official day of spring, though. So we're almost there's light at the end at this marathon, right? We're in the final quarter mile, and the finish
Yeah.
line is in sight. So if we can just not, I think there's supposed to be snow on the horizon this weekend again in Kansas City. I'm going to be in Chicago this weekend, and it's supposed to snow every day while I'm there. Not looking forward to that.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
we got Friday and Saturday. I think Thursday. No, Friday and Saturday. You're right. You are absolutely right. Ugh.
yeah. So, but I'm still looking forward. It's gonna be my first time in the city, so looking forward to that. So, super excited. But man, let's get into this show, man. Let's start with the Super Bowl that took place this weekend. Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, and it was a bad night for Chiefs Kingdom. I mean, there's no true there's a couple of silver linings maybe in there, but it was just a night of horrors. The offense never got started. They got drubbed basically for 3.5 quarters until they put up a couple of garbage time touchdowns to make the final result not look as bad. The Ward, I'll ask you, while you were out in Vegas on the Drosy retreat, when 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 did you know that this game was over?
On a Devontae Smith touchdown, I think that was what made it 34-0. Is that right? Whenever they,
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
30.
I think that might.
So you knew it was
Yeah,
over when it was 34-0.
yeah, 24-0. Like, I mean, I knew that it was going to be very difficult to come back from 24-0. Um, but there's always part of you that's like, we get the ball. You know what I mean? You get the ball, you score a touchdown. And let's just say you get a stop, you get a field goal, and you're down 2 scores going into the fourth quarter. I mean, there's this side of it. Like because you're assuming there's halftime adjustments. Now now mind you, even if you're assuming there's halftime adjustments, you know how dominant that defensive line has been. It's like, really, what can you do? You don't just have, a Laramie Tunsil to throw in there all of a sudden, or, something like that. So I was assuming that there was going to be some more chips, maybe some bringing in different guys on the offensive line that maybe switching some things around. But yeah, once it hit 34-0, I said, yeah, this is a wrap. Um, and in Chiefs fashion, at halftime, I just went ahead and was like, look, I'm just gonna go ahead and put this money on the Eagles smoking us. So I put money on the Eagles minus 20.5, and then Kansas City decided that they wanted to take my money by scoring the most pointless last 2 touchdowns to lose by 18. And so I was just mad all around. And so I'll say this much too. I couldn't enjoy the halftime show as much, down 24-0. I'm like, I don't really feel like, I was thinking like maybe I'll just get a nap in real quick, but it was tough to watch. It was tough to watch. However, it goes back to the age old question: would you rather lose like that, or would you rather lose, to in overtime to a Miko Hardman, a touchdown, or a Harrison Butker field goal to win the game, or something like that. So I don't know. I was kind of disconnected from it for quite some time.
I mean, the way people are talking apparently is there's degrees of losing, and there's a right way to lose and a wrong way to lose, apparently. Because people are saying, well, now Mahomes got blown out. There's no way he can. We got to stop the GOAT conversations, apparently, because he got blown out in the Super Bowl. But JC, I asked you, when did you know the game was over? 34-0 is kind of wild, though.
Yeah. I honestly was thinking at 24-0, it was kind of over, but because in the back of my mind, I'm thinking like maybe the Chiefs could start a run, but also it didn't help that the defensive line was playing so well. Basically, with the way they're playing Mahomes all 4 quarters, one thing pretty much led to another consistently, especially with those interceptions and that diving pick by Nick Bond was insane. Like, and that is the kind of defense that we had when Vic Fangio was with the Bears for a brief period, and it kind of shows how much of a defensive mastermind he is.
Fair points. Drew, what about you? When did you think the game was over?
17-0 after the pick six. Now, I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why because two things were very, and I know A Ward is expecting me to slam Mahomes. I know everybody is expecting me to slam Mahomes. Nothing about the Super Bowl was Patrick fault. It was everything to do with what I said about the Kansas City Chiefs and what was wrong with them at the start of the year. That offensive line. I said it at the beginning of the year that offensive line was not going to hold up, and at some point it was going to cost Mahomes, and they cost him the Super Bowl. There was absolutely nothing wrong with the rest of the team. If your offensive line cannot protect anything, you can't do anything. And that offensive line got beat from here to Timbuktu. When he threw that pick six, the game was over. No blitzes, and they tapped him and Snoop Dogg must have spent a lot of time that weekend together because his face was in the grass 6 times all game.
Hilarious.
He was just
Hilarious.
he was just him and Snoop best friends. I'm just saying that was terrible by your offense. It's just the offensive line. It's just the offensive line. Everybody wants Mahomes to be Superman. Superman can't be Superman if there's kryptonite around. That's all I'm saying. And when kryptonite is around, the defensive walls come down. And who's your defensive wall? The offense. Hey, I won't stretch to see this episode. I know we not on our podcast, but I won't stretch to see this episode. Stretch can now take his face out of the gooch of Darlene from Roseanne because I keep telling people the quarterback is not the most important person on the field. You can have a great. Do you think Tom Brady would have 7 Super Bowls if his offensive lines looked like that? No, absolutely not. Joe Montana does not win 4 Super Bowls and goes undefeated in the Super Bowl if his offensive line looks like that. If the Bears drafted Patrick Mahomes, he would have looked like that because we did not have an offensive line to sustain his playability, his natural mobility, and quite frankly, if they're trying to move away from him being mobile, then you're gonna have to offensive line to protect him in the pocket. The Eagles exposed either the offensive line or the offensive line coach. I don't know, but everybody fired today. I would have walked in and be like, everybody in the offensive line room, get out, pretty much, because that was egregious. You can't, and like A Ward has said, um, you would expect Andy Reid to have a game plan, an adjustment at halftime, and it just felt like the Eagles kind of anticipated it from their first go round because we're giving it to them in the first go round, and then they make this adjustment, and then Patrick Mahomes comes back, and then we go into overtime, and you know what I mean. Second time around, we're not letting up this time. We'd have had a pick six. We'd have trapped them inside the 10 or the 5 and they threw an interception at the 4, and then they scored. We're up 24-0. We got to keep the foot on their necks. I kind of agree. It was pretty much curtain calls after the Devontae Smith bomb into the end zone. But to me, it was over in the first half because it doesn't look like they have any sort of answer. Even before you go into halftime, it just looks like Everybody's giving up. Chris Jones on the
Yeah.
sideline crying and calling his mama. Like Travis Kelsey with that stupid beard, he calling Taylor Swift upstairs. She already calling her next dude because they breaking up. I'm
Hold
telling you,
on.
they.
I'm gonna jump in. I'm gonna jump in. I'm trying to think. I obviously live in Kansas City. I have a bunch of friends who are obviously Chiefs fans. So when they get the pick six, I hit up Titus. I hit up Titus. He's a Philly fan. Like I can't go into the group chat with all the Chiefs fans and go, "Hey guys, this is done. We're done here. Like there's nothing else to talk about." Right. So I'll put on the brave face and I'm like, "All right, come on. Let's we can get back in
No,
this."
no, don't tell me you hit up Titus and said it was over.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, you're
I
a
hit up
terrible
Titus.
friend. You
I
are
hit
a
up Titus.
terrible friend. Do you know
No,
how you would feel if Notre Dame got out of 17 nothing in the national championship and I hit you up and was like, it's over? You know what you would say to me?
I didn't hit you. I would say you're right. You know me, right? You know me.
No,
If they're down
you would
17-7,
never. No, I'm saying if they were up, you hit the guy whose team was up 17 nothing and
my,
told him it was
my,
over.
my
so
man
here's the
said,
thing. Here's the
I hit
thing.
up the dude who was winning and said,
Here's the
yeah,
thing.
this shit is over.
I can be here's the one when it's not my teams, I can be objective. I can be super objective when it's not my team. And so I hit Titus up. Hey bro, this is done. This a wrap. And rightfully so. He goes, hey man, nah, I'm not doing that. It's not. It's this is. We got a long way to go. I said, bro, they can't block them. I'm like, I'm looking at them. They're not. Granted, they didn't run a bunch of stunts and a bunch of games, but this was at the snap of the ball. We're going to bull rush. Joe Tooney looked like a blocking sled for 4 quarters. And so what happened the very next play when they Chiefs get the ball back, what happens? Joe
Yeah.
Tooney drive. It looked like Vic Fangio was yelling at Josh Sweat, drive, and he is just moving Tooney backwards. Right
I,
into
I
the
can
in
tell.
the
I can tell you what Big Fangio was telling Josh Sweat. Hey, you either do this or I'm gonna shoot this puppy right now. No, not my, he looked like John Wick out there. They had his dog
no.
for ransom, and he beat 4 people. Look, put this into perspective for a second. This is how bad your offensive line is, and it's just the offensive line. Like I said, I only blame the offensive line because everybody else hits their mark if the offensive line can protect, and they couldn't. So it starts up front. Now I'm gonna tell you what happened. 4 people beat five. They're anticipating the blitz, so the running back, so the six, and Patrick Mahomes. 4 people beat up 7 people. It's terrible.
Basically. So
Terrible.
I do want to push back on one thing about the offensive line. Yes, they all thoroughly got dominated. However, the difference between what happened with this offensive line versus the Tampa Bay Super Bowl. And
Mm.
this was something I had an argument with, and you can, and Ward, I'll let you chime in on this in just a second. I thought that they should have gone to the playoffs. They should have gone back to DJ Humphries and slid Joe Tooney back at the guard position because I thought that
Agreed.
Tooney
Agreed.
Tooney is not a natural left tackle. DJ Humphries, at worst, can because he has the frame, he can at least get in the way if he does nothing else. Orlando Brown Jr. was not a great offensive tackle, but sometimes just because of his sheer size, you cannot get around him fast enough to get to Mahomes unless you were a speed rusher. But if you're a guy who like to use power, which Josh Sweat like to do, Orlando Brown Jr. can slow you down. So I want to ask you that, like just retroactively, would you have moved Tooney back to guard at any point during this playoff run and brought DJ Humphries back as the left tackle?
Yeah, I'm not sure. What I'm gonna say is this: is against Buffalo, the Chiefs came out first possession and damn near RPO'd their way all the way down the field and scored a touchdown. Right? They come out against the Eagles, first play RPO, 8-9 yards, Juju Smith-Schuster, whatever. They're running quick plays. The play calling is get the ball out of the hands of Mahomes quick, and they're moving the ball down the field. And I don't know what happened because when you have offensive line that's getting beat, like you can make some play calling adjustments. You know what I mean? To give some um to give your offensive line the benefit of the doubt in those situations. But I don't know what happened with only running the ball 3 times in the first half and kind of going away from those short passes like that. Because what it did was it just gave the defensive line all the confidence in the world, and it put the offensive line in a position to where I think just from the second or third drive, they knew that it was going to be a long night. DJ, I don't know that DJ Humphreys like sliding that. Obviously, yes, Joe Tooney playing his natural position where he's probably one of, if not the best guard in the National Football League. You know what I mean? It is probably something that needed to happen so that you at least had Tooney and Trey Smith, who and the center Creed. Those three interior can have the chemistry and know how to work together. They always have. And then you'll just have to chip, and if DJ's getting beat on the outside, you'll have to chip and handle it accordingly. But it just seemed like that the play calling immediately went away from even helping the offensive line at all. And Patrick Mahomes, I know, Drew doesn't want to give him any flack or anything, but he got happy feet quick. He got happy feet very quick, and he and yes, of course you're getting hit or whatever, but there was a couple plays where he scrambled out of it and he decided to pass when he could have ran. You could tell he was visibly shook by the defense, and I thought that happened to him a little early, and that was something I haven't seen of him in past. Like even in the Tampa Bay Super Bowl, I always felt like he was just locked in, scrambling, getting out of the pocket, making throws, and just getting let down by receivers and different things like that. This time, taking those 6 sacks, having a fumble, having 2 interceptions and stuff like that, like there was some of it. Yes, of course, his offensive line is not playing well, but some of it is just on him not being able to, make a decision, quick enough because he's just always, always in fear for his life, I guess. But I was just really disappointed in Andy and the play calling. I know Pacheco and Kareem Hunt aren't, the best running backs in the world, but I just think that, man, when you got a guy like Samaje Perine, you got some of these things you can get some screens, you can get some kind of creativity. We didn't see not a single, crossing route, not a single, there was just so many things that we just didn't see, And then at the end of the day, man, the morale of the team is damn near everything. When you look defeated on the bench, it doesn't help, And so when DeAndre Hopkins comes across the middle and trips up on his own foot, you know what I mean, and the ball hits him or whatever, you're just kind of like, stop. You know what I mean? Like this doesn't happen to Hop. Like if that happened to Xavier Worthy or Justin Watson or something, I'd have been like, and it's like, but when things like that are happening to probably Hall of Fame, wide receivers, it's like, it must just not be our day.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Justin.
Go ahead, JC.
And to piggyback on the offensive line comment, first of all, is like say you did move Joe Tooney to his natural position. Who's to say the same result wouldn't have happened? And then also for someone like Xavier Worthy, if something isn't working with someone like DeAndre Hopkins, you would think you would end up going to your more sure-handed target for particular drives down the field. And also, how I knew they were shook is when Patrick Mahomes threw that ball into the damn ground, and because that is entirely characteristic of him. I've never seen that before in my life.
Yeah, it was definitely very uncharacteristic of him. It reminds me of when Sugar Shane Mosley fought Floyd Mayweather. Early in that fight, Shane wobbles Floyd. He almost scores a knockdown, but after that, Floyd proceeds to put hands on him for like the next 6 rounds in a row. And it's like the 8th round. And Sugar Shane is sitting in his corner. And I think at this time, his father was still his trainer. And his father is yelling out instructions to him. Shane, you got to give me something behind the jab. You got to keep moving. You got to give me some combinations. You just can't throw 1-2 and just let him tee off on you for 4 or 5 in a row. And if you could have seen Shane's face, it said player 1 has left the match. Gone. He was out of there. Like he was contemplating his life choices at this point and why he thought he could mess with Floyd because of how badly he was getting beat. And to me, that's what happened to the Chiefs. To Ward's point, they knew early on we got nothing for this pass rush because they're not blitzing. They were
at
running
all.
some games, some stunts, but they were literally lining up like Jawan Taylor, according to Wikipedia, weighs 313 pounds. Nolan Smith at edge rusher weighs like I think it said according to Wiki, I think was 235. Right. So we're talking like an 80-pound basically gap. And there are multiple plays I've seen on tape now of Nolan Smith coming off the edge and literally there was furniture moving and Jawan Taylor was the couch. Just moving him as if he does not exist. I mean, it looked like a drill. And so, yes, I agree with Ward. Pat does deserve some criticism because even on the interception on the near the goal line, there was room for him to maneuver in the pocket around Tooney and get that pass off. But so I want to ask this question because
The
I
real
feel like
question, though, before we go next, the real question is: does Kirby Smart get a Super Bowl ring? All them damn Georgia players just won them the Super Bowl. Just want you to know, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, like a Super Bowl ring needs to be sent to Kirby Smart's house.
Man, and I'll say this: the thing that makes me mad about that is that it didn't have to happen. The Atlanta Falcons needed needed Jalen Carter. There was another team that needed an interior rusher. It might have been the Giants or somebody in that draft, and they passed on them in part. No, it was the Raiders. The Raiders took Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech ahead of Jalen Carter. Now, part of that was because Jalen Carter got in trouble for the car wreck that killed one of his teammates. And I think at that point, the Henry Ruggs thing had already happened in Vegas. So I'm pretty sure the optics of that would have looked great. But, I mean, Henry Ruggs is Henry Ruggs. I would have been like, listen, we're going to work with this young man to make sure he doesn't end up making the same mistakes that Henry made. But even with Nolan Smith fell to, I believe, to the top of the second round because he was coming off an injury and people were afraid to draft him. And so I have to give credit to Howie Roseman of making these moves. So I do want to ask this question, though, because I feel like I'm living in a twilight zone when it comes to the Chiefs and the overreactions this week. I've heard some flat out outrageous things. So, Drew, I'll start with you. For you, do you think that this loss means that Mahomes is no longer in consideration for GOAT talks?
No, because we've seen Tom Brady get his ass whooped before in the Super Bowl twice by the same damn quarterback. If y'all remember the first time they went undefeated and the Giants and Eli Manning were not supposed to be there. Not at all.
Yeah.
That was an abysmal Giants team overall, and they rode the wild card all the way to the Super Bowl, mind you, and whooped they ass. I don't care what the final close score was, they weren't supposed to be there. So if you let the person who ain't supposed to be, that's like Josh with his good hand knocking somebody out that's 7'4". Okay? It's not supposed to happen. Okay? So the fact that you let him hit you and you were a juggernaut lets me know that y'all were ill prepared or y'all didn't take him seriously. But does that stop Tom Brady from being a GOAT? Absolutely not. Brady has 10 Super Bowl appearances, 7 Super Bowl wins. Patrick Mahomes, and I've always said this, it's not Mahomes I don't like, it's just the hype around him, right? We crowned him a little too early out the gate. We crowned him before he got to the Super Bowl. They crowned him his rookie year, getting to the AFC Championship. I'm like, he ain't did shit yet. Now, granted, he still has a long way to go. We have absolutely no clue how many Super Bowls he could win. We don't know. He's only got 3 so far, right? And he almost did 3. So that tells me that he's got some GOAT left in him. I think it comes down to how they adjust the team around him from here on. But no, I don't think it takes him out of the GOAT conversation. Now, I do think that the whole dynasty conversation is pretty much over. You don't have to have a dynasty to be a GOAT. You have to play GOAT. And the reason why I say that is because dynasty wise, being the overall juggernaut, being the most feared. Think about this. We're gonna have between him now with his 3 Super Bowls and what he could win. He could win 8. He could. But between here and there, we're talking about younger draft picks. We're talking people like Jaden Daniels. Look at what he did and what Washington almost did. It was almost Washington in the Super Bowl until the Eagles beat that ass. But Jane Daniels. Yeah, Caleb Williams, who we have yet to see flash. We saw glimpses, but he didn't flash yet. We'll see what's coming up. You got these younger guys that's coming in, younger than Mahomes, and Mahomes is still young, right? He ain't 30 yet. So he's still young. He's got a lot of time. Still got legs. His IQ is getting there, that of a Tom Brady. You know what I'm saying? He's learning. He's becoming
Mm.
that field general that Peyton and Tom and Drew Brees and all of them were at a younger age. So the dynasty might be over. I don't think the GOAT conversation is over. He's still very much in the running for it.
What do you consider a dynasty?
Juggernaut status. I don't think people are as afraid of the Chiefs anymore as they were probably like 3 years ago.
No,
2 years ago.
that's not what I'm asking. That's not what I'm asking. Like, what is your definition of a dynasty? Like, because if you remember, Blackhawks 3 cups in 6 years, they're considered a dynasty.
I don't necessarily equate. Yes, championships come. Yes, championships come with that. Um, it's just the natural progression of things. If we can't stop you, naturally you're going to win a championship. I think dynasty wise is that it continues seasonally. When I saw the decline, and it could just be the offensive line. Hey, it could just be a bad season for the offensive line to where the numbers weren't hitting up for the Kansas City offense. That could be a thing. So I have no idea until this season starts. Because if they make adjustments on the offensive line, then I'll rescind the kingdom has fallen type of mentality. But for me, when I saw that they weren't as dominant on offense and they weren't scaring anybody, that's what I mean by like the Blackhawks. Even when we did the 3 and 5 seasons, even our off seasons, everybody was scared of us still. We were still putting up the numbers. We were still putting up the points.
Yeah.
We were still whooping ass. I would say even that one season that the White Sox had when we won the World Series, the next 4 years after that, even though we didn't win the World Series, the next 4 years after that, they were still scared of us. They were still like, oh shit, Canerco was still hitting grand slams for absolutely no reason. Oh shit, we still got Mark Burley who pitched a perfect game. What was it, 3 years after we won the World Series? They were still afraid.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by the dynasty.
No hitter after 2, perfect game after 4.
Mhm. Right. So a dynasty, I think you instill like the Warriors, right? They've had Steph for I don't know how long now, right? The dynasty conversation died probably before that last year. I think it was after they beat Cleveland after that. And then what is it? They didn't win the finals after that, and then they went on to beat Boston. The dynasty conversation for the Warriors to me was over after they beat Cleveland the last time. And then you still have Steph and Clay in them to win that last championship. But look at Golden State now. Nobody's afraid of them anymore. Now we're moving on to a different. It's a run of fear to me. Like the Chiefs have instilled fear in the NFL since Patrick Mahomes has been there. Now we're not so afraid of him. That doesn't take him out of the GO conversation. That doesn't mean the Chiefs ain't a great team. That doesn't mean they can't necessarily beat you down. But the fear factor is out here.
Okay, so I want to jump in. So JC, like, what do you think? Do you think the dynasty is over for the Chiefs?
No, not necessarily, but because they could make some crazy judgments over the next year and win 3 out of 4. And
I think that.
and at that point, I would kind of consider it a dynasty. A dynasty doesn't necessarily have to mean that you're winning back to back to back to back. If a team is mostly dominant to a particular period of time, that's what I consider a dynasty. It doesn't.
So
It doesn't
I'm gonna
necessarily.
hang.
Yeah, it doesn't.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. It doesn't necessarily have to be set to one kind of standard.
Mhm.
Okay. So Ward, before I chime in, what do you think? Do you think the dynasty's done?
Absolutely not. I think it's a huge overreaction. It's one game. Yes, it's the biggest game, but the Chiefs not only won the AFC West for the 10th year in a row, they ended up the number 1 seed in the AFC, who going into the Super Bowl was the tougher conference, what most people would say, with the likes of the Burrows, the Lamar Jacksons, the Josh Allens. They had the best or tied for the best record in football. They still have the best coach in football. They still have one of, if not the best quarterbacks in football. They still have one of, if not the best defensive linemen in football. And so at the end of the day, Tom Brady went 10 years without a ring. He won his first few, and then he went a whole decade without a ring, and then came back and got 2 more. And so you're looking at a guy with Patrick Mahomes, who in his first 7 years has been to 5 Super Bowls, and he's 3 for 5. I don't know that Patrick Mahomes plays as long as Tom Brady did. But if he plays 10 more years and he goes 3 for 5 again, if he even goes to Super Bowls, half of what is left, you're looking at 6 rings, and you're looking at him probably shattering every stat possible that Tom Brady has. Like, he definitely is still in the GOAT conversation. I think what it did was that three-peat was going to give people a reason to damn near put him over Brady already, because it was something Brady didn't do. And it was a way to have a counter for, well, you faced Brady twice in the playoffs and he beat you both times, because that's damning when it comes to head-to-head conversation. And let's be honest, Mahomes is not going to get to play Brady again in the playoffs ever again. So he's going to finish his career 0-2. So, what you need in that head-to-head conversation to go is you need something that the other guy doesn't have, and that three-peat would have been a huge thing from Mahomes. But at the end of the day, I think people didn't fear the Chiefs all year, like 4, 5, 6 games in it. I don't think anybody was like, they are the dominant, right? I mean, I thought that they thought like, yo, they're winning games by 1 touchdown or whatever. But the cool deep throws, the 10, 14 point games, that was gone 2, 3 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, that's been gone. All they do is win, and all they did this year was win 15 out of 18 games. And next year, they should be the favorite to win the AFC West. They should be the favorite to, be in top 2 or 3 AFC teams on that side. And there's one thing Tom Brady always had, going into years, Peyton Manning was that guy, right? There's a lot of times where they're like, one thing Tom Brady always had was the mental, like the playoffs. Like, when you got to the playoffs, there was something he had mentally over the rest of the AFC with his head coach that just, they couldn't beat him. And until somebody in the AFC could prove that they can line up beside Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and put him out, he damn near might go to every Super Bowl, and he might win 1 out of every 3. But I got nothing to say anything is over. If this football game ended in a 7-point game, a 3-point game, we're not having any of this conversation. A loss is a loss. Yes, they got smoked on the line, and I've listened to the analysts and everybody, and I say, all they say is, they said, well, we found out the way to beat Mahomes. Get pressure with 4. Well, guess what? That's not very easy. And there's not a lot of teams that can just get pressure with 4. So cool. You found out the way to beat Mahomes, like, that's like me saying, I found out the way to beat you. Have 3 Hall of Fame wide receivers, like, well, don't everybody have, that, like, it's so I hear it, but all of the things there's like, yeah, I hear you. But until Mahomes makes a wild card, or or gets knocked out first round of the playoffs, or has an Eli Manning-esque season, where he's just stats are absolute, you know what I mean? Like, there's no GOAT talk out of that, and there's no dynasty out of that, because the Patriots went 10 years without winning it, and so and yeah, so we can't forget about that with Tom Brady.
Hold on 1 second, Drew. I will go. Hold on, JC going, and I'll go, and then Drew, I come around back to you.
Yeah. Brady's career was essentially like a first half and second half of a dynasty, if you want to call it that. So I don't necessarily obviously we're going to see a lot of dominance individually and team wise when it comes to Mahomes and the Chiefs. It's just a matter of how much they can execute that. So yeah, no, I don't agree that he's out of the GOAT conversation necessarily. He could very well be top 5 when all is said and done. No point in question.
I think he's top 5 now.
He's gonna be top
I think he's
3
top
when he's
5
done.
now. At
He's gonna be
worst.
top
So
3 when he's done.
I agree.
So here's what I want to say about the dynasty talk. We need to restore order here. I understand that there's no more football, and we are very reactionary in football. What happened last was the most unbelievable thing that's ever happened in the history of the game. But let's get the chop in this fable real quick. Tom Brady played in 14 conference championship games. Patrick Mahomes is already halfway there with seven in a row, mind you, never losing in regulation of a conference championship game. He's either made it to a Super Bowl and lost, or lost in overtime of a conference championship game. As Ward said, 10 straight AFC West championships. They've represented the AFC in the Super Bowl 5 of the last 7 years, right? They're 3-2. This thing, as Ward said, until someone can prove consistently, because 1 year is not enough, right? Like 1 year, if the Bills somehow make it to the Super Bowl next year, bravo. Or if the Bengals or the Ravens, some start makes it, bravo to them. Congratulations. That's amazing. But
Yeah.
until I see the Chiefs not in an AFC title game or not in a Super Bowl for like a 5-year stretch, I don't want to hear this. The dynasty's done. It's over. We got the blueprint on the Chiefs. People have been saying that since the Bengals in 2021. They thought they had the blueprint with the two hot stuff. This team will continue to evolve. And yes, they got to continue to make the right moves in free agency and the draft. But to this point, Brett Veach really hasn't given you too much of a reason to doubt him. The left tackle experiment didn't work this year. They got the rookie. The rookie didn't work out. Wanye didn't work out. DJ got hurt. Tooney was a Band-Aid on an open wound. And finally, the Band-Aid couldn't hold anymore, right? As far as the GOAT talks, this is the way. First of all, a win on Sunday would not have made Patrick Mahomes the GOAT for me. A loss on Sunday does not diminish him to the point to where we cannot have this conversation anymore. To me, the way you need to look at GOAT talks, especially with Mahomes or any other quarterback or player who might come along in the next 5 or 10 years. Let's say Arch Manning comes into the league next year and he is experiencing the same amount of success as Mahomes. The way you look at this is a marathon. It's not a sprint, right? So Tom Brady has set the world record pace, and every other person, as they run their race, is trying to not only win their race, but they're trying to break that world record pace that is set by Brady. To this point, I already said Mahomes has had half the conference championship appearances, half the Super Bowl appearances. Tom Brady did not get to his 5th Super Bowl until his 12th year in the league. We're in year 8 of Patrick Mahomes. Their win-loss record, when you combine playoffs and regular season, almost identical. Same for the losses. Mm-hmm. Patrick is a little bit of a head on yardage passing and touchdowns. The way you look at where Patrick Mahomes is currently is he is slightly ahead of the world record pace that was set by Tom Brady. Now, whether he plays 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, 20 years, however long he plays, once he finally decides to hang it up and he has hit the tape, so to keep the analogy going, then we can go and look and say, okay, at the end of his career, he had this many championships, this many MVPs, this many Super Bowl MVPs, first team All Pros. And then we could say, yeah, he beat the pace. He's now the new world record holder, or he's second all time. But this idea of trying to king him or dethrone him based off of one game, which, mind you, there's going to be there's going to be a loser to a Super Bowl. This idea that there's a right and wrong way to lose. Well, Brady never got blown out in the Super Bowl. I'm sorry. More victories are for minor league coaches. I thought I could have. I mean, shout out to the poet laureate Jay-Z who said that. We don't about who lost better. Hello, you play to win the game. So I don't want to hear about who had better losses, who looked better in a loss. Does it help to look better in a loss? Sure. But ultimately, you still lost the game. And so again, that's the way to me you should look at this. There's a world record pace that's been set, and everybody's trying to beat it. And right now, at about the coming into the halfway point of this race, Mahomes is slightly ahead of that pace when you look at the totality of what he's accomplished in this time frame. So get out of here with the dynasty is dead. I disagree with that.
I,
Get out of here with he can't be the GOAT. I don't agree with that either.
I only say the dynasty is dead because there is a certain fear factor that comes with the dominance. And if the I don't think his loss takes him out of the GOAT conversation. Because I don't blame him for it. I honestly don't. I looked at the offensive line at the beginning of the year and said there was going to be a problem. So I
Mm.
don't fault Mahomes for when your draws are on fire. There's nothing you can do about it until you can stop, drop, and roll. Now they dropped you, but you didn't get to do much else. Draws was on fire for the whole game. So yeah, you scrambling and you running for your life, and they had a cover for it. Okay, you couldn't get out the burning building. I don't necessarily blame him for that. Let's go. It's not something we can't say we ain't seen it before because we seen it in Tampa. But that was that was before Mahomes became
Can y'all hear me?
Mahomes as we yeah, we hear you now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was Tampa
I
Bay was before you said what y'all?
I can't see me now. I don't know why.
Hold
that's
on one
that's because
second.
the light reflecting off your forehead, bro, into the camera.
But here's the thing, though.
There
That
we
fear
go. Here we
factor
go.
thing, that fear factor thing only lasts until the next time he rips everybody's hearts out again. Because if the Chiefs come back
Yeah,
and have another 15-2 season, then we're talking about he's inevitable and he's this, that, and the third. So to me,
that's cool,
that
but think about this for a second. Think about this for a second. If we're talking about something we ain't never seen before, we have never seen this version of Patrick Mahomes, Super Saiyan God mode, Undertaker in his prime, John Cena get beat down. John Cena almost GOAT conversation get beat down by Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. We have never seen Super Saiyan God mode Goku just get face palmed and thrown somewhere and he doesn't recover. We are anticipating an adjustment. Think about that how Dallas was. And I'm not saying Kansas City at any point is Dallas because they don't have an ancient artifact Jerry Jones ahead of
true,
the
true.
team trying to call the shots. But I'm sure Dallas anticipated their dynasty and their five and their dominance to continue into the new millennium. And here we are. All I'm saying is our anticipation of what we think may happen and what will actually happen because we can't see the future, right? We don't know what's going to happen next season. We don't know what's going to happen the next 5 seasons. We're just anticipating it because it's Kansas City and it's not Dallas. We've only seen this with Dallas. We've only seen Dallas shit the entire dynasty away and then tell everybody, hey, we're the greatest team on earth. Mm-mm. I don't think that's Kansas City. But I do believe that the Eagles said, if we can beat him down in this stage as he is now, beat him down, not just win the Super Bowl, beat him down and demoralize him on national TV to where next season they may or may not still feel like that. And then 3 years, he may or may not still feel like that to where we're just watching this decline. I'm not saying it's definitely going to happen. I'm just saying there's a fear factor that goes into the next season and into the next season. When you talk about, damn, how we going to beat them? I think that the question has been answered. And the answer is pressure. If we can, and not necessarily four, because like Abor said, it is hard to get pressure with less than a blitz. But to do it with four people just kind of goes, damn, well, if they can do it with four people, imagine what we can do if we can get some blitzers. Like I said, we're getting younger talent. The DBs are faster now than what they used to be. We're talking about people you don't think the other 31 teams, screw the other 31 teams, the other 15 teams in the AFC, and we're only going to talk about a handful of them. Baltimore, the Bills, maybe Miami, maybe, because I don't see the Bengals recovering, maybe Pittsburgh, maybe some of these teams who can have a core defense structure. You don't think they're going to go get somebody that can keep up with Isaiah Worthy or be faster on the back end? They're looking at things like this. They're looking
So,
at linebackers that can get there.
so
So it's
let me
not just
rebut
a
that.
team suggestion. It's the rest of the league.
So let me rebut that. And I want to jump into this next question. There were times where I'm sorry, excuse me, where Worthy he beat some of those cornerbacks, but the line couldn't hold up enough to get it to him. So you can go get somebody fast. So there's a play where Mahomes he checks it down to Juju. He wanted to take the
Uh-huh.
shot. You see him start to load up. He changes his mind. When you watch the wide field view, Quinyon Mitchell is in front of him by a yard. And then within 3 steps, Worthy's eating up that yard. Then they're even. And you know what they say? If I'm even, I'm leaving. So
If I'm
I,
leaving
I
them,
hear what
yeah.
you're saying. But I want to jump into this next question. So I already know Drew. I already know what you think they need to improve on in the offseason. Ward,
Is
I'm gonna
that all
come to
right?
you. What do you think the Chiefs need to improve upon in the offseason so that they can get back to the Super Bowl?
You ask me first?
Yes.
Oh, my bad. Well, one, I think they just need to get healthy. I think they need to get healthy. I think ever since Pacheco's leg injury, he hasn't been the same at all. I'm hoping that, some off season can kind of get him back to what he was last year. Not that he's like the answer or anything. Two, having Rashee Rice on the field with Xavier Worthy. I don't know if we'll keep either or both Hollywood and Hopkins. I think one or both of them might be gone. But I think getting healthy is important. Obviously, addressing the offensive line in free agency or in the draft, whatever it may be. Probably more so free agency. Um, and then I don't know that it'll happen, but me personally, I don't want to overreact too much. But because I don't necessarily know how much credit Matt Nagy gets or doesn't get, for what he actually does.
Mhm.
But I'm just not a fan of what I've seen from him. And so, if there were any position changes, and it's not often that a team like the Chiefs go out of their way to hire like a young up and comer, this, that, and a third, but like Brian Hartline, I might give him a call, man. I might find some young offensive coordinator, some guy that's got a little, something different to him, and bring somebody in from college or from whatever's going somewhere else, man. It's just because I just felt like the play calling, I feel like the play calling at times all year was just not very good for the personnel we had. And then it'll be interesting to see, what kind of backseat role Travis Kelce is willing to take. He came up for us big in a few games, but I just think that at the end of the day, tight ends are huge in the National Football League right now. I mean, you saw like this last year, like how many guys like really, between Trey McBride and there's tons of them. I don't know why he's the only one I can think of right now, but there's a lot of tight ends. I think that we need somebody like a Brock Bauer. I mean, he's not easy to replicate or whatever, but I need some young guy that you're going to fear that you're going to have to put somebody on. So there's some things that we got to touch up on, but at the end of the day, we lost the Super Bowl with a bad offensive line before, and we retooled and figured it out. We lost to the Bengals, and they thought we were done, and we went to 3 straight Super Bowls after that. There's not a whole lot of. It's one of those like fantasy lineups you don't want to tinker with a whole lot, but that like something is going to give you the And I trust Veach and I trust Andy Reid and the competitiveness just of Mahomes and the squad we got. But I will say this much: Chris Jones is on his last few years. Travis Kelce's maybe his last year. Maybe who knows? He might retire this year. Who knows? But there's guys in that locker room that create that culture. We talked about that culture of winning, that culture of the expectation. I heard what's his name, the interview with Peyton, what was his name? The tight end from the Cowboys, Pendergrass, Hendershot. Yeah, and he's just like, yo, like when I got here, he's like the only organization I've been with is the Cowboys, But when I got here, it seemed like it was like, let's get to work, like we win here. You know what I mean? And when guys like that create that culture are on their way out of the locker room, it's time for other guys to step up. So I'm definitely interested now. We talked about it earlier, like Trey Smith, will they keep him around, or are they going to let him go to sign Nick Bolton? Nick Bolton, insanely good run defense. I talked to a couple Philly guys that were just like, we kept hearing about how good the Chiefs were at tackling, and they were like, we noticed that even in that loss, the Chiefs were very, very good at tackling. I mean, they kept Saquon Barkley, under a certain amount of yards. Like Bolton is probably one of the best tacklers in the NFL. So I'm eager to see like if the fact that the offensive line let them down, if they're like, hey, we got to keep a guy like Trey now, or what that looks like. But regardless, man, we're in the AFC West. The Broncos, the Raiders, and the Chargers. None of them like put any kind of fear in me, to win that division. So I think we're good.
Hey, what if Pete Carroll comes slap the shit out y'all?
With who? Aiden O'Connell?
Yeah, I'm
no,
like,
hell no, hell no. Aiden O'Connell and whoever else they got as backup, they're about to go on a permanent vacation. I'm telling you, they about to draft a quarterback. They about to trade for one. They gonna look for something, but Josh, go ahead because I know we're gonna get into the offseason later. But go ahead, Josh.
I think they first of all maybe need to retool corner wise, but
interesting.
It's not that they don't have a good group. It's just that their depth is lacking a little bit, and that was kind of telling, where they allowed passes that they know they shouldn't have against guys like Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. So that's one thing among others in offensive line. No. And then also to counter your point about Matt Nagy, well, first of all, welcome to the club.
I do even don't go
there. But second of all, given that Andy Reid is the majority play caller, it doesn't really matter who the offensive coordinator is, unless, of course, you're saying you need somebody new to sort of redesign the offense and retool around Patrick and the guys who have an offense. Am I correct in thinking that?
Yeah. I think that's what he was trying to convey, like tool the offense around Patrick. I think that's what he was trying to say.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Are you done? Or you got the more?
Yeah. And another thing, I think the Broncos in a few years' time can actually put fear in the Chiefs. With the Bowden, had a great rookie year.
I need to see more. But the defense is legit. So I'll say that as long as that defense stays legit, Bo Nix doesn't need to be Superman to win games. So let me hold on one second, Drew, and I'll let you go. Let me get my take off about their biggest offseason need. I'm glad you mentioned the Superman thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that for so long, the Chiefs, I have a theory about quarterbacks. When you have a quarterback in the tier of Patrick Mahomes, you don't need to have superstars all around him because he normally can make up for what you're lacking. Right? But when you take away a Tyreek Hill, when Travis Kelce is reaching the end of his career, Xavier Worthy is nice, but Xavier Worthy's still learning. Rashee Rice is injured. Where are the dynamic playmakers on the team? Where can you go? What can you turn to if your quarterback is struggling to allow him to what's the word I'm looking for? To kind of steady himself until he can then be Superman again. The thing that the Chiefs need the most is a running back. They need a dynamic running back because teams sit in too high against them so often. There are yards to be had, right? So on the interception that he throws near the goal line, the team goes into drop 8. And there's like, if they would have run the ball there's at least 8 yards with the
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah Pacheco because the hole would have been
Mm-hmm.
there because the team was in retreat, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Andy Reid, I don't think Andy Reid went to the play calling of running plays because he just felt if I keep dialing it up for 15, ultimately he's going to break out of this funk and he's going to do what he's always done, which is save the day. And so if you are Andy, you need to get a running back that you trust that can, I'm not saying if they can be close to the Saquon Barkley tier. You don't have to be Saquon necessarily. You don't have to be CMC. But if you can find a Josh Jacobs, you can find an Alvin Kamara, if you can find a James Cook out of Buffalo, someone that you can hand that ball to and they can get you 10 to 15 because the teams are playing you more for pass than run, then if and when your superstar is more Clark Kent than Superman, you can go say, hey, I'm going to keep this superhero analogy going. We're going to let the Flash carry us for a little bit, right? We're going to let this other guy handle things. And then when you feel like you're back into the game, then we can unleash you. And I think if they can find a running back, that is the thing that can get this offense to being feared again, Drew, is if they go get a running back that can help balance things out a little bit more because a running back, even for Patrick Mahomes, can be your best friend, especially when you're struggling. And so I just don't think they trusted him enough to run the ball. You give or say something, JC, and then Drew, I'll come to you.
Yeah. Because essentially, Clyde Hilaire was out for the year, and then got cut. Isaiah Pacheco was obviously injured. They tried out Carson Steele, but wasn't really
Didn't work.
And so, with that in mind, I feel like somebody. I think it might be a long shot given his projection, but maybe somebody like Asher Jinty.
Man, he would have. I mean, if he lasted to 32, I think that would give 31. Excuse me. That would give the Chiefs something really to think about if he lasted there to that pick. I would love to see Ashton in a San Francisco or Kansas City Chiefs uniform. I ain't gonna hold you. You know what I'm saying? But that is a very interesting an idea though.
Yeah. Because I say that, but because I don't necessarily know off top what the options are going to be like in free agency. Yeah,
It's not there are no difference makers in my opinion right now as I've looked at the list. I don't think there's any difference makers. There's a Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee. Um there's obviously Ashton, and there are a couple of other guys that I think will be really nice. Omarion Hampton out of North Carolina is really nice. And there's some other guys. Ali Gordon out of
Kid from Iowa.
Caleb Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's some guys out there who have the potential to be some difference makers in the draft that you might spend.
I think he said free agency though. I think he said free agency.
He did. But I don't think there's anybody in free agency. So last word on the Chiefs, Drew, because we want to get to this face off.
I hope y'all are right because football does not have many dynasties. The NBA has a lot of dynasties, and for lack of everything else, football is the tougher sport, not only physically but mentally, because in the playoffs it's win or go home your first shot around. Every other sport you get a series. Football is we're here today, and if we're not here tomorrow, then that's it. Right? Here today, gone tomorrow. So I hope y'all are right because it's very rare you actually see a football dynasty. Last time we had one was the Patriots. We didn't really have something like this to see, even though I can't stand it. But I personally like seeing y'all ever wonder who the hell was gonna face the Undertaker at WrestleMania? This is what it feels like. It's that sense of we know it's gonna be Mahomes. He's Taker. This is WrestleMania. Who's gonna be his opponent? Who's gonna try to beat the streak? Who's gonna do it? Who's gonna be the one to say we got it? Now I hope y'all are wrong. I mean, I hope y'all are right. I hope that this dynasty is a running force for the next. I'll give them 3 to 5 years. I'll say 3 to 5. We don't need a whole 10 year, another 10 year stretch. But if that's gonna happen, I do agree we're gonna need a running back. I kind of agree with Josh. The defense is gonna have to adjust, but that damn offensive line is gonna have to do something because you can't do that. You can't do that for a whole season. It was the entire season that looked like that. It's not just the Super Bowl. The entire season looked like that. And it just took the Eagles with that defense to really lay it on them. But the entire season looked like that. And you can't do that. Not if you're the Chiefs. If you die, I'm going to tell you something. The Dallas Cowboys dynasty died when Travis Frederick retired. That man was the entire damn offensive line. And when he retired, there was no protection
I think it
at
died
all.
long before that, though. It died long before Travis Frederick
I
said,
think
"I'm out of here."
but I think the fear factor was we can't get to the quarterback. When he left, it was like open season on y'all ass. Now it's like, oh, we got you. We got you now. Like when the Panthers was able to beat your ass on Thanksgiving, that was a tell all. When so if they can adjust, and don't get me wrong, this is Andy Reid we talking about. Every time the Chiefs have had some type of what happened after Tom Brady and the Buccaneers beat that ass. They went and they made an adjustment that gave them a Super Bowl run. That's the fear factor. It's like we slap you around, you come beat up 3 or 4 teams in the Super Bowl. You feel me? Like that was the adjustment. So I like I said, I hope y'all are right. I hope this adjustment means that hey, we're about to have another dominant 4 years. Another dominant, y'all can't touch us. Yeah, we got cut this time. We got stabbed a little bit. We're gonna have to get stitched up. And I hope it is one of them because I think Andy Reid of all people deserves it. Andy Reid has been coaching for God knows how long. He deserves this particular team. He deserves this particular run, and he deserves this particular dominance. And Matt Nagy don't, but Andy Reid definitely does. But I hope that the offensive line, for one, for damn sure, if you're gonna have a running back like you said that they can trust, you're gonna need that offensive line to open them pockets. Because then that opens up Travis Kelsey. That opens up Xavier Worthy. That opens up everybody else. I just think they need that offensive line at the core to get the ball rolling like that.
All right, cool. So we're gonna close in the chapter like that. Y'all, let us know what y'all think, man. From a Chiefs perspective, again, I hate to be the canary in the coal mine. I said this on Monday when I was at the barbershop, and I told the guys, I said, man, this feels like Tampa. And they said to me, man, they thought they you tripping, you wilding. The offensive line isn't as beat up. And I said, I understand that, man. But I said it feels like Tampa. And I hate it to be right. I hate when I'm right about the Chiefs because that normally means they've lost the game. Normally when I'm wrong, they're winning championships. So shout out to the Chiefs. Let us know what y'all think, man. Is the dynasty over? How do you have the Mahomes and the GOAT talks? Can they continue their dominance? We all seem to think so. Hit us up at Brains and Bars, Facebook, Twitter, IG, Instagram. All right, it's time. It's time.